that I would use the same tunnel system that the historic station used. I brought it out here. Then I just have a whole lot of little squiggly things. But the main thing for me is to get this building back down so that it runs parallel to Central Avenue and really begins to form a definition for this space and creates that gateway into the city that you were talking about. And, you know, I started by just drawing. You want to tape it up? Yeah. Tape it up. Now we got your arm's going to get tired.
Fake one. Okay. Okay. Up we go.
It's on the site that he's drawing. Yeah, he's drawing over the existing station.
Yeah. Right. So I just started up by just drawing the same box that we have now, only moving it down here, just to see how much space it would take. Then you can just look at, well, it could become a long, narrow thing like Roger's talking about, or it could become more squared off. And you could decide to you know, really try to keep it compact, and then maybe these flanking spaces could even become available for other development that could be tied directly into the station. But, you know, not knowing exactly how many square feet the thing would really need, I think there's so much space there, I think you have a lot of options. And the other thing I did was to accommodate the buses. There's space up here right next to the tracks. And there's already an existing dirt road that goes up around like that. So I'm just saying the buses can come up here, drive right up there next to the tracks. You can have as many gates as you want. There's tons of room. They only have 3 gates at their temporary thing now. And they would come in at an upper level onto a mezzanine space and drop down escalators into the main waiting room. And we also looked at putting parking below this whole site, which could be accessed from the 2 streets. And they would be able to come up escalators into the main space. And of course, just as Howard was talking about, you would put escalators out of the platforms and elevators out of the platforms. And so that's...
Tell them how the buses get out.
The buses continue along here, and they go right across St. Paul Street. All the space is there already. And then they would just have to come down and ramp onto the inner loop. So if they're heading westbound, they just keep going. If they're heading eastbound, they can just go down, across, and loop back around on 490. And
Take the inner loop away.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah.
Use the inner loop.
Yeah. Then I started to look at what would happen if you did decide to try to relocate the bus barn to this side. And I'm thinking you could put it on the opposite side where the temporary one is now. And if you do that, there's a little tape. Okay. If you do that,
You realize, Tim, that now that you've made this drawing, everyone in this room has to be executed.
it has to be executed.
As opposed to executing the plan.
What do we start with?
No, it might be smart to show it.
Yeah.
We
Just
can make
to
the Canadian border
Cut
line.
to be able to answer everybody. Might be
Yeah.
able to show it as an alternative either way. Okay, amend it.
Now, one thing that I did here was to reroute, that's Joseph Avenue, which currently kind of goes like this, in order to widen up that site and make it more usable, just kind of give it a little bit more sweeping curve, which is kind of nice because it gets the street back to where it originally was in front of the old post office building. And then it makes it possible to fit something in there. And this would end up being 2 lanes of buses, depending on how many buses you try to get in there, of course.
The old post office building? My eyes.
This is the old post office building here.
The present post office part of it.
Yeah, it's right on the
The
corner.
government wants to get out of that
Whole
anyway.
white area?
They want to get out of it anyway and
Yes.
relocate
Yes.
somewhere else, so
Yeah.
that'd be just fine.
They've relocated
So
it
Tim,
over
that's
there.
all on grade.
This would just be all on grade, you know, just be a real simple thing, you know, just have a couple of platforms, have some sort of a waiting room building maybe on both sides of it,
I have it.
and, you know, maybe you put some kind of a nice
Yeah.
tensile structure over the
Yeah.
buses, but leave it open in the ends.
Park is, is it Schiller Park?
Stewart Park's over here.
Okay, so, you know,